And today we have Wyld Networks CEO, Alastair Williamson. Welcome.
Thanks very much.
Very nice to see you again.
Yeah, good to see you as well.
Last time we had an interview here in the podcast. It was the 16th of May. And for those who maybe missed it or don't remember, could you give us a brief presentation of Wyld Networks and what you guys do, and a little bit of introduction of yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. But thanks very much for having me on. So, as you say, my name's Alastair Williamson, and I'm the CEO of Wyld Networks. Now, just a bit about Wyld Networks. What do we actually do? So, Wyld Networks is a satellite operator for the Internet of Things. And it's probably easier if I explain the problem, then you'll understand what we solve and what we do. But today, only about 15% of the world's surface has access to the internet. So only about 15% of the world's surface has wireless coverage. Now, that's okay for people because most of us live in that 15% of the world's surface. But it's not very good for the Internet of Things, where companies deploy sensors all over the world and they want to collect data from those sensors and they want to connect those sensors to the internet. So that's a big problem, particularly in agriculture, oil and gas, water utilities, supply chain logistics. All of those verticals have a problem. So we've solved that problem by basically using low Earth orbiting satellites to collect that data from those IoT devices anywhere in the world. So we go to our customers, and our customers are large corporates, deploying IoT sensors all over the world and offering the ability to collect that data anywhere in the world. So that's really what we do. That's the problem that we solve. But just to give you an idea of the type of customers we're working with, in oil and gas, we're working with customers like Chevron, very large companies. We're working with companies like ConocoPhillips in the oil and gas space. In agriculture, we're working with companies like Bayer. These are all very large multinational companies that have got sensors deployed in areas of the world where there's no connectivity today, and we solve the problem for them.
And these sensors, they are then sending up information to the satellite?
Yeah, absolutely. These sensors send information up to the satellites. These sensors can be sensors. I'll give you one example. In the oil and gas space, Chevron put sensors on oil pipes to measure corrosion, because what they want to do is to understand when those pipes are going to crack, when they're going to leak oil. And they want to find out before they crack. So they put these sensors on the oil pipes, and our equipment sends that data to the satellites, then from the satellites back down to our ground station, and then we give that data to Chevron. Then Chevron can do preventative maintenance. That's just one example of how we use the solution.
That should be quite attractive now in the ESG era.
It is. If you look at the main reasons that people are using our solution, yes, it's to improve operational efficiency, so for preventative maintenance, but it's also to help them support their environmental and sustainability goals. That's a big use case for Wyld solutions. So you're absolutely right. ESG plays a huge part in what we're doing.
And you provide the satellite?
Yes.
And the software, or?
So what we do is...
The sensors, are the customer buying them themselves?
Yep.
And you don't make them?
We don't make the sensors. We make the hardware that connects to the sensors, and that piece of hardware sends data to the satellites. And in the satellites, there's a piece of equipment that's a Wyld defined piece of equipment that collects that data, sends that data back down to ground, and then our platform on the ground then sends the data to our customers. So the way we make money is really quite simple. Our customers pay a one-off fee for the hardware that sends the data to the satellite. And if it's a module, it's about $40 per device. If it's a terminal, it's about $500 per device. And that's a one-off fee. But then our customers pay us up to $5 a month per device. And that's where we get our reoccurring revenues. So if you look at our business model, is very much like a mobile operator, where you pay once for your phone. That's a one-off fee. Then every month you pay $20, $40, whatever your tariff is, and that's where the reoccurring revenue comes from. Our business model is exactly the same, apart from we're sending data for IoT devices.
All right. And since last time you were here in the podcast, what has happened in the company since then?
Yeah, we've done an awful lot since we last spoke. I think there's been three main focuses. From an operational perspective, our focus has been gearing up production for manufacture. So we've now got manufacturing capability in the Philippines, India, and the UK. From a development perspective, we have decided to implement 5G NB-IoT onto our device. So currently today we support LoRaWAN as a technology to send data to satellites. And LoRaWAN is forecasted to represent about 37% of all IoT connectivity, whereas 5G NB-IoT is forecasted to represent about 47% of all IoT connectivity. So we currently support LoRaWAN, and from a development perspective, we're going to put 5G NB-IoT onto our solution, which is basically going to double the size of our addressable market.
All right.
And I think from a commercial perspective, what we've been doing over the last few months is really building up our order backlog. So at the moment, we've got an order backlog of about 92 million krona, which if I break that down into, what does that mean from a hardware perspective? How many devices, how many modules? It's about 229,000 modules and terminals. And we're now looking to start to deploy those into the field. And if you look at the sort of idea of what does that mean from a revenue perspective, well, there's the revenue for the 92 million as we start to deploy the devices, but also there's the reoccurring revenue for using our network.
So those $5,
which is up to $5 for each of those 229,000 devices that, once those devices are shipped into the field.
And what is the status of your deliveries now? You have a large order backlog.
Yeah.
And have you started delivering?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're delivering this month. So as I say, we've been putting a huge amount of effort into the production piece since we've last spoke. And we will start shipping product this month, imminently.
All right. Exciting.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you recently signed an agreement with a company I think everyone has heard of, SpaceX.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit more about that? SpaceX is it's trending, it's on everybody's lips.
Yeah, absolutely. So we signed an agreement with SpaceX. And so just to explain what we're doing, SpaceX is very well known for providing satellite broadband connectivity for people. So they're doing a similar thing to what we're doing. They're looking at that 85% of the world's surface where there's no access to the internet today, and they're using low Earth orbiting satellites to provide broadband service to you and me. And we've engaged with them to look at the IoT, the Internet of Things. So as you can imagine, there's a huge number of IoT devices forecasted to be deployed over the next few years. Forecasters are saying there's going to be about 125 billion IoT devices deployed by 2030. That's a lot more devices than people. So the real game here is how do we look at providing connectivity for IoT devices? And that's the reason that we've put the partnership together with SpaceX, and we're looking at how we can collaborate and how we can move forward. So it's a really exciting project for Wyld.
Sounds amazing.
Yeah.
And does all these modules you mentioned, do they have to be connected in real time?
No, they don't need to be connected in real time.
That's the difference from
There's a difference between
people.
broadband. Yeah, exactly. For people, you want real-time connectivity. But for the Internet of Things, people are looking to get to send data 4 times a day, 8 times a day. That's the amount of data they need. So it's not real-time connectivity. And that's also reflected in the cost as well. So, we're talking about $5 per month per device for IoT connectivity, whereas broadband connectivity, you're talking about $70 a month per device.
Yeah.
So 2 different
and that's
use cases.
Why the price difference.
Yeah. But I just want to highlight on one thing, satellite broadband for people, absolutely brilliant. I think it's a great idea and what SpaceX are doing there. But if you look at the population of the world, it's a large population. There's not many of the population in that 85% of the world's surface where there's no coverage today. But if you look at the Internet of Things, it's a huge number of devices that are going to be deployed by 2030. As I said, 125 billion devices. So a lot more devices than people. So it's a really great use case. And I believe that's really where the future is going. It's satellite IoT connectivity.
So Starlink is for people.
Correct.
And SpaceX is now looking with you guys to do something
in the IoT space.
In the IoT space.
Correct.
Very interesting. So how is the financial situation?
Financial situation is really good at the moment. We're in a very strong position. We raised some capital a couple of months ago, which was a good round. It's a difficult market out there, as you very well know.
It is.
But we did a really good deal. And so we've raised capital. And sort of based on our forecasted view on delivery of product moving forward, just on our existing orders that we have in hand, we believe we've got sufficient funds to go cash flow positive based on the current raise that we have and the TO4 and TO5 warrants.
All right. And for investors, now you have signed an agreement with SpaceX and you've done your financing. What should investors look at after in the upcoming 6 to 12 months?
So I think this is a really interesting question. So I think the key several focuses for us. The key focuses for us is start to deliver product into the market. So start to ship product to our customers and start to generate revenue on the end of delivering that product to customers. I think the second focus is on the 5G NB-IoT piece, which I think is really important because, as I say, today we support LoRaWAN for satellite connectivity. We're going to implement 5G NB-IoT onto our solution, which is going to double the size of our market, more than double the size of our addressable market. So we're going to focus a lot on that. But I think in the longer term area, we are looking at other developments on what we can do to stay ahead of the competition here. Okay, so we're ahead of the competition now. We're going to put 5G NB-IoT on our solution. That's going to keep us ahead of the competition. But it's really about how do we take the company to the next step? And that's really about how we can continue to innovate, develop, but also remember that we need to be commercializing and deploying product into the market to generate revenue. So I think it's a pretty exciting 6 to 12 months. And I think with the partnerships we've put together with various companies, we're going to see a lot of things happen over the next 6 to 12 months.
All right. Thank you very much, Alastair. Nice to see you again. And congratulations. It's running smooth, it seems.
It's a pleasure. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much.
You take care.
You too.